the Jet Setting Wealth Advisory Podcast, where your financial journey takes flight with David T.U. As an airline pilot and financial expert, David merges the aviation industry and wealth management to help you navigate today's complex financial skies. Each episode features expert insight, blending personal stories with essential financial strategies. We ask that you fasten your seatbelts and sit back as we prepare for takeoff. Our destination, your financial empowerment.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Jet Setting Wealth Advisory, the show where we explore the strategy, stories, and insight that helps business leaders and entrepreneurs build smarter wealth and stronger companies. I'm your host, David T.U., active airline pilot, wealth advisor, and founder of DTY Wealth Planning Solutions. Today, I am delighted to be joined by Banto, CPA and founder and CEO of Concierge CPA, a modern advisory and accounting firm serving small business owners across 23 different states. Borbala isn't your typical CPA. She describes accounting as the intersection of art and witchcraft. And she's built a practice around helping entrepreneurs not only outsmart the IRS legally, but also create more profitable, stress-free businesses. As a business advisor, tax coach, and personal CFO, Borbala provides turnkey solutions that helps business owners gain control, clarity, and ultimately freedom. Welcome aboard. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, David. Glad
Absolutely.
to be here.
Yeah, we're delighted. So let's first get to know about your Concierge CPA, the origin of the story. What led you to start Concierge CPA, and how did you know the traditional accounting model needed to be reimagined?
Yes. So when I started my practice, there were three different kinds of groups of entrepreneurs who approached me. And we realized pretty quickly that they need specialized service. They were not happy with what they were getting.
Mhm.
One group was that business owner who started their own business, and their uncle, their brother-in-law was their CPA, maybe a sole proprietor, sole practitioner working out of their basement, which there's nothing wrong with that. I was one of them at one point. But they were only getting compliance. But now they are maybe $1 million gross revenue business per year, and they're still just getting compliance. And David, what happens if the CPA goes on vacation in the summer, or God forbid, they're sick, right? Who is gonna replace them? And also, they're not getting any advisory services, which at this point they are seeking. So that was one of the groups that approached us. The second one was actually maybe a little bigger company, $3, $4, $5, $6, $7 million gross revenue per year, who actually did go to a regional firm. And they were proactive. They were told that they need a bigger CPA firm. So they went to a regional firm with a couple of hundred employees. The problem there was that they were the small fish, and they were still not getting any advising. David, there was an entrepreneur sitting in my conference room here right behind me the other day, and he actually showed me his phone, and he said, Borbala, I sent this text message to my CPA at this great regional firm 9 days ago, and I asked him, hey, what does the new tax law mean to me? And he said, look, 9 days, and I have not gotten a response.
Wow.
Right. So that should not happen in the 21st century. So those type of businesses are like the second group that navigate towards us. And the number three are those foreign investors, business owners who are from a foreign country. They do want to incorporate in the US, or they already did it, but they quickly realize that they need so much more than a traditional CPA. Not only their compliance is more complicated, but also they need all kinds of other services. They need a referral for a bank, an insurance agent, attorney, all kinds of other additional services. So we are able to help them.
Fantastic. So you work with business owners all over the country. What type of clients do you serve best? And what problems are they usually facing when they come to you knocking on your door?
It all started with small law firms because I did go to law school back in Europe.
Wow.
Lawyers here in
Great.
this country, they thought, oh, she can understand us. So it all started with law firms. They navigated towards us from all around the US. That's how even pre-COVID, we were just doing GoToMeeting and Zoom with clients from all over. Then it continued into consultants, some lobbyists, consultants, musicians, professional service providers. Then lately, actually, then we are growing as well. So we do have other type of service providers and a couple of manufacturers.
Okay, great. So you describe accounting as the intersection of art and witchcraft. Can you elaborate on that? Tell me what that means.
Yeah. One of our core values is that we really need to improve the lives of all the clients that we touch. So if I just do a tax return, we do compliance, and I have somebody in, tax season, they drop off their information, and then, a secretary sends them the information to sign, I'm not touching the lives, right? I'm not delivering exceptional client service.
You're not making an impact, positive impact, right?
Exactly. I'm not making an impact. Also, I'm not making an impact in their personal lives. Business is personal. A lot of times we say it's just business, but it is personal.
Yeah, of course.
A lot of times I feel, David, that I'm this financial therapist. My camera doesn't allow me, but I could show you. I have a velvet couch here in my office and a big chair. I have Kleenex next to it. I have chocolate. Sometimes we have to bring out, the red and white wine. Usually when a new client comes in, I tell them, obviously everything we talk about is confidential, and then there are no wrong questions. They're literally, like, there's a lot of crying going on this couch if somebody is local, and usually usually the response I get is a little laugh, a little chuckle. Oh yeah, it's funny. But the entrepreneur starts to talk to me about, this is so stressful. For example, I left big law. Now I have to do my own work. I have to supervise the paralegals. I have to do biz dev. I have to invoice. I have to collect. Basically, I have to wear 17 different hats. And plus, my spouse is pressuring me. When are you going to bring home the big money that we are used to? So it is so emotional that usually after 10 minutes, everybody cries. So it's really the concierge concept that we stumbled upon is basically not just taking the business and the numbers and the compliance, but yes, doing a lot of advising when it comes to the business and understanding the numbers and having clarity about them, and doing a lot of tax projections and strategic tax planning, but also taking it a little further, including the whole family as a whole. What is your legacy? What do you want to do with this business? Do you want to sell it? Do you want to just basically this business not to be your baby anymore, but your mule? You need cash flow. What personal goals do you have, for you and your family? So we talk about holistically about everything.
Fantastic. Yeah, great. That's myself being a business owner. I know exactly the type of services that I am seeking, that I would continue to seek, and to better my business and my overall ranking within my industry. So you're exactly correct. Since you brought up the fact that you came from Europe, can you tell us a little bit about your background? Where you're from and all that?
Yes, I was born in Romania as an ethnic Hungarian, just right next to the border. So I already from the start had to live in two pretty much different cultures and learn two languages. And later, right after high school, my dad said, why don't you go to law school? It's a good base. A lot of very interesting people went to law school. So I listened to him, and 2 weeks after graduating from law school, I had the opportunity to move to the US. It was only supposed to be like maybe for a year or two, but then, my husband and I, we got stuck, and I couldn't be happier and more thankful for the opportunity to be here.
Fantastic.
So then after moving here, I realized maybe I want to go back to law school. And I took the LSAT, somebody at the local law school said, what do you think about tax law? That would be a great combination for you. And I said, oh, I don't know anything about tax law. So I ended up going back to business school and then later joining one of the big four in international tax accounting, where they said, we need the analytical thinking. We don't need your law license. So after a couple of years of that, I said, I really want to own my own business. So I started reading books in magazines, everything that I could put my hands on to be able to start my practice.
Fantastic. And that's how you evolved from law over to CPA work. Got it. Fantastic. Let's talk about tax strategy, advisory, and control. Many business owners feel out of control when it comes to their numbers. What's the first step to getting control back for these business owners?
Mhm. I would say the biggest financial blind spot that I see in small and medium-sized businesses is basically they don't know what they don't know.
Okay,
So
fair
if
enough.
they do not have an advisory CPA who sits down with them frequently, I would say monthly, but at least bi-monthly or quarterly, just to say these are the things that we should focus on. For example, it could be cash flow visibility, it could be understanding the margins, it could be that they are just reactively decide on different, business questions. So basically, first of all, I have to get to know them and have to get
Sure.
to know their goals. But then we have to put down what are those goals that we're going to work on currently? What are those KPIs, those metrics that are really important for the business right now, maybe for a year or two? And then how do we measure them? Right? We do talk a lot about margins, but if they don't have a way of calculating job costing, then how would we know which clients drive actually profit for them, which services are more profitable? So there's is a lot of high level and then going into into details.
Okay, fantastic. Let's talk about your focus on strategic tax planning. It's not just tax preparation. Can you explain to the viewers and the listeners the difference and how it impacts profitability?
So from the get-go, we said we have to have all our clients on retainer because we need to be able to give them the gift of they can call the CPA anytime, right? Like one of the
Great.
first things that I heard is I'm not going to call my CPA because then they're going to charge me X amount of dollars. So
Sure.
I said we have to take this out of the equation. So then they are able to just very freely contact us anytime. And also, we can have unlimited appointments, meetings. And one of these types of meetings we have is those tax projections. They're at least quarterly, where just imagine, like right now is October, we have 9 months of books, right?
Sure.
I have to talk to the business owner to say, what is the last quarter gonna look like? We have actual 9 months books, but then we have projected last quarter. We put everything together and put it in the tax software. And then we have a meeting where we say, okay, this is how it looks like if you're gonna end the year like this. What else is there that we can do before 12/31? And nobody can do any tax planning afterwards. So the question is, what else do you need? What are those discretionary line items? What is that maybe another business you want to start, another business line? What are those things those strategies that we can use? A lot of times when clients come to us, mid-year, we realize, oh, they don't even have a retirement plan. They do have the cash flow and they could benefit from maybe a 401k that has a profit sharing on top, or maybe a cash balance plan. But nobody ever talked to them about it, and we still hopefully have time to implement that. So it's basically constant meeting with the clients, talking to them about what are the goals, what do they want to invest in, should they maybe make that big purchase, in December versus in January, if they're thinking about it anyways. But also a lot of times there are cash flow consequences that we need to think of.
Fantastic. So what are some of the most common tax opportunity business owners are missing, or what do you find through your due diligence with the business owners that they are potentially missing in business opportunities and tax mitigation?
These days, I have to tell you, we got a good number of clients who came to us and they said, can I use the a small business a stock exclusion if I want to sell my business? And then
Sure.
we look at it and we say, oh, unfortunately, you were not started as a C Corp, right? You
Right.
are an LLC as an S Corp, and nobody thought of that. Nobody told you that when you started out. So you cannot use Section 1202. I wish, there would be something. Maybe for your next project, you can use this. So actually, they could be a couple of $1 million of difference, right? The
Sure.
exclusion is up to $10 million. Then
15, actually. It's 15
now,
now.
yes, you're right.
Mhm.
So entity choice is something where sometimes I do see $1 million business LLC single member still on Schedule C,
Oh,
right?
wow. Mhm.
Right? Like,
Mhm.
why? I even had a client coming to us, $1.5 million. And so we tell them, if you elect S Corp status, then not only you save on the Social Security Medicare part, not only your business looks more like a bigger business and more serious business
Mhm.
if you need to go get a loan, but also your audit rates are going down. It's like about
Sure.
4% if you are, a Schedule C, that big of a high Schedule C, and goes down 100-fold actually to 0.4 if you
Mhm.
are an S Corp. Sometimes peeling off certain little businesses, business departments into a separate business entity. Also, with lawyers, we have several lawyers who are so successful in running, maybe let's say online ads or marketing for themselves, that they think, okay, maybe we could sell this system to other law
Sure.
firms.
Sure.
And this business unit should not stay under the law firm. So we have to make sure that we do it correctly to peel it off and have it as a separate standalone business. I did mention the retirement. I see that a lot when people grow. Also, with the Coursera and different type of healthcare reimbursement plan, that they
Mhm.
could benefit from it and they don't have it.
Great. Thank you for providing some of those examples. So let's talk about overwhelmed to being empowered. A lot of your messaging speaks directly to entrepreneurs who feel overwhelmed. How does your firm specifically help business owners go from surviving to thriving?
Great question. Great question. So first of all, one of the things we tell them is, at the end of the day, what we sell is peace of mind. We
Great.
want, even if we don't have all the answers, or they are not paying the tax that they ultimately want, because maybe they want zero, but at least we know that we asked all the questions, we looked at everywhere, we turned all the stones. So that peace of mind, and also when it comes to their personal finance situation, is there. For example, it's not uncommon that we have meetings here with client, spouse, their attorney. Maybe it's an attorney who deals with their wills and trust, their financial advisor, sometimes their insurance agent. It's kind of like we are members of their leadership team, right? And just like how big businesses have board of advisors, they have a board of directors. I tell all my clients, just imagine if you would get all these people and obviously the leaders from your business around a table, either virtual or a real table, a breakfast or lunch. All these people are really good at what they do, and they're really psyched about what you do. They're your biggest cheerleaders. Just imagine having these people every other month, once a year, twice a year, around the table, just to mastermind about your business.
Sure.
So it's very lonely and a lot of times very
It
stressful,
is.
as I mentioned, to be a business owner. What I see is, and where my financial advisory couch comes in, is financial therapist couch comes in, is basically, who can you talk to about your struggles, right? Who
Sure.
can you talk to about money? A lot of times, there's not consensus even between spouses. So a lot of times when we talk about the personal aspects of their finances, we have both spouses here, David, and you know what? It's not uncommon that spouses send me little notes before the meeting of, for example, could you say in front of my wife that it's so important to adhere to our budget because she might listen to you more, and also, for example, every year there are a couple of clients, and not just women, who come to us and say, Borbala, you are the first I'm telling that I'm thinking about divorce. What should
Oh,
I get
wow.
together?
Sure.
How is it going to affect my business and just overall, my life? So it's a very highly, highly personal job to be a concierge CPAs, and what we really believe that we are these outsourced CFOs of these businesses, and not just when it comes to their LLC, but also their personal life.
I love it. I love it. So let's talk about results and practical tools. Can you share a client story or an example where strategic advisory, such as the one that you described with Concierge CPA, made a measurable impact on profitability or tax savings?
Mhm. I do have several, for example, a recent example
Sure.
where client was coming from regional firm. Client has 3, 4 business entities.
Mhm.
Also has some controllers in the business in some of them.
Okay. All right.
And the previous CPA firm just took the financials from those controllers and put them in the tax return, filed the taxes. And finally, the business owner is like, I really need a second review. I need somebody to look at this. And we
Second
realize,
opinion.
exactly. And we look at it, and it turns out that back a couple of years, the internal accountant made some journal entries that totally overstated the
Oh,
income with
doesn't
hundreds of
doesn't
thousands of
sound good.
dollars. No. Also, in one of the cases, put the home office that was a real estate into an S Corp, which is also in the tax world is no, 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 you should not put real estate in an S Corp.
Mhm.
Also left a good number of expenses out. And on top of it, where they could have taken Section 179 expense, they didn't. So we ended up working a whole summer amending these tax returns, fixing all these issues, and going forward, we instituted a monthly meeting with the internal accountants to obviously fix these problems and also just see what's going on here. For example, in one of the S Corps, the owner himself did not get a W-2, and there was a lot of profit, and there were distributions from it as well. And that's one of the biggest no-nos when you have an S Corp, right? So putting that in, no, you have to take a reasonable wage W-2 from this S Corp as well.
Sure.
But then maybe you took too much from the other one where you are not active anymore. So working with the internal team, working with some of the attorneys on the project, just to say what's going to happen to everything here if God forbid something happens to this one single owner who owns all these businesses. Do you have the Keyman's insurance, life insurance? Do you have insurance just to make sure that these businesses will go forward and everybody can keep their jobs if something happens to you? So it was a very complex project where it was not only fixing old mistakes, going forward with all these tax strategies that we were able to implement, but also just holistically making it, giving them a little more peace of mind.
Okay. Wow. Great. Fantastic. Let's talk about that. You wrote a book called 57 Ways to Grow Your Business. What inspired you to write it, and what's one of the favorite strategies from the book?
I have to tell you, David,
Oh,
my
it's hard.
brother,
57 ways to.
yeah,
Yeah.
my brother and I, we wrote that book about 15 years ago when one of our first mastermind hosts, our mentors, marketing mentors said, Borbala, you need a book that's going to act as a giant business card.
Mhm.
Because if you give it to people, people are more reluctant to throw out a book versus a business card. So they're going to put it on their shelf, even if they don't read it. And then when they need you, hopefully, at some point in the future, they're going to say, what was her name? And they're going to just take the book. And that's exactly what happened. We are actually doing what we preach. So we're very involved with a lot of mastermind and business coaching ourselves and
That's
learning from
fantastic.
all kinds.
Great.
I'm a long-term member of a EO entrepreneur organization and have
Okay.
learned a ton from all the learning activities that they have and mentors from there. So
Sure.
one of my favorites at that time when we wrote that book is it's basically the S selection and 401k with profit sharing and cash flow, cash plan,
Cash balance. Yeah.
cash balance plan. I see so many people that they do have now more money and they do have the cash flow to do it, and they could put away $200,000-$300,000. And
Sure.
this is your world, so I'm pretty sure that
It
you're
is.
very familiar with this. And they just don't know about it because they are very simple 401k plan. The third party administrator never told them about it.
Sure.
So I see that as, especially if everything aligns, right? Like the owner has to be a certain age, employees have to be in a perfect world a certain age. But when it works, it's a great tax deduction.
Fantastic. Yeah, hundreds of thousands of dollars annually for the business owner to be able to defer the tax and mitigate the tax for the
That's
year.
correct.
Sounds wonderful. Let's talk about your wish. What do you wish more small business owners understood about finance and taxes?
Mhm. Great question. Great question. So I wish that they would understand that they need to segregate time to look at their numbers.
Okay.
I wish that they would realize that they need somebody who keeps them accountable to do that.
Okay.
Usually, like, why are Olympic athletes still have coaches? I mean, they know how to swim, they know how to run, they've been doing it, for decades. They still need coaches, and they are a very integral part of, the outcome. So I wish they would realize that having that accountability partner, like an outsourced CFO, somebody like who is an advisory CPA, that monthly meeting is, even for themselves, it's a great tool to sit down and say, okay, what was my budget? What is my budget versus actual? What are my ROIs on certain things that I'm measuring? What are my metrics, my KPIs? Why are they what they are? What can I do about them if I don't like what they are? Where is my cash flow? So I would say that kind of a cadence of looking at the numbers, actually, I've not seen a successful 10, $50 million company that doesn't do that. So that would be my first advice to smaller businesses, that you just have to do it. If you somehow, and I believe in the saying that I heard when I started, that sales covers a lot of sins. And somehow they got to a couple of $1 million without systems, without a finance department, without a good bookkeeper, of advisory, proactive tax strategy type of CPA. They got to a couple of $1 million, but that's not necessarily what's going to take them to the next level. So they need that outsourced help, that proactive advisory help. And of course, if I could just change one thing, is that they actually take measures. A lot of business owners say, yeah, I'd like to get there, but I really want this yacht. And I say, it was not in the budget. It was not in the goal, this year's goal. It's like, oh, I still want it. Obviously, they are the boss, but I wish that they would be a little bit more disciplined in getting to what we said that we want to achieve.
Okay. So you've created a firm that sounds really modern, direct, emotional, connecting, and very people first.
Yes.
What's next for Concierge CPAs?
Oh, great question. We do have our headquarters are in Northeast Ohio, and we have an
Okay.
office in Texas, maybe, and also one in Europe, but maybe opening a couple of more satellite offices to where majority of our clients congregate, and also staff those offices to have like local help. Although we're working via Zoom, it's the norm today, but I really feel that being in proximity with our clients, it really makes a difference. Like locally, we are invited to birthday parties, graduation parties. I go to every funeral, every memorial of, relatives of my clients. There's just something different about meeting them in person. A lot of times we take
Sure.
them out to dinner. So maybe that's next. Obviously, our growth is very intentionally low. We have a very low volume, high touch type of boutique firm, but
Sure.
we have to grow. There's no stopping in business, as if you stop, then you're just going down. So finding
Right.
those people that are really able to work at a firm like us, it's, as you can imagine, it's not easy. Most accountants do not like to talk, right? They know everything. They all know this advising. It's in their heads, but they don't like to talk. And I cannot hire somebody who is, even if they have all the paperwork, all the diplomas, if they just want to look at the screens and put numbers into the tax software or into Excel. So it's very hard. It's not impossible, but it's not easy to find people who are really personable
It's true.
and they like to talk, they like to listen first and foremost to all the personal issues, everything that surrounds the business people.
Understand. I get that, especially for a CPA. To be somewhat extrovert and not a complete introvert can be
Mm-hmm.
difficult to find. So you got to
Yeah.
find that person to not only be at least
Mm-hmm.
not introvert, doesn't have to be extrovert,
Mm-hmm.
but can't be
Yeah.
an introvert, totally introvert, and have all the knowledge and skill set as a
Yeah.
CPA
Yeah.
to provide the services to a taxpayer.
And also, they really have to be interested in a lot of things in the world, right? I really believe that a true CFO like has to be interested in so many different things, right? Like my background in journalism, art, music, travel, really I feel that like just by being surrounded, like listening to a couple of podcasts every day about politics, finances, travel, it just helps me to understand the clients, right?
Sure.
Able to put myself into their shoes. So the outsourced CFOs really have to have a very wide
Range of
range of interests.
I love it.
Hmm.
So, where can listeners and viewers connect with you, request a book from you, maybe even autographed?
Yeah,
How can
absolutely.
people connect with you?
Absolutely. So I think the best way is to connect to go to our website, conciergecpas.com,
Okay.
and they'll find our story, our services, and our heart behind it. On our website, they can also reach out. Our email address is on our website. It used to be that our appointment link was on the website and we had to disable it because we are just so inundated with requests for new clients. But you can also, anybody can send us an email to request a book or an appointment. We do still offer initial complimentary appointments to get to know each other and to see how we can help the prospective client.
I love it. And any final comments or final words from you?
I would say lead with your numbers, right? Not
Okay.
just Don't just look at them once a year. Lead with your numbers. Try to find an advisory CPA that has availability to talk to you, where you have their cell phone number. You can call them up Friday night at 7 o'clock. If you have a question, you can call them up because they have availability. Your relationship is like this. It's really a personal relationship. I often say kind of talking to your advisory CPA is kind of like going for confessional. They really have to know everything about you in order to be able to help you. So like I was volunteering at a dog shelter on Saturday with my daughter, and I'm trying to walk this dog, and I get a call from a client of mine who says, again, this is like Saturday, 12 o'clock. It says, I'm at the car dealership. What did you say? Which entity should I buy the vehicle under?
Oh
Right? Like
my.
this type of a call cannot wait till Monday, even,
Right.
right? So find somebody who is really personable. You feel that they understand you. And also they have the availability. That's how they're set up. Their business is set up that they can take your call Friday night or Saturday morning to help you out, if there's an emergency situation. And also, just talk to them. Just talk to several providers and see who you connect with, who is also in their firm. Like there are 10 people in my firm currently. So if I happen to be on a work trip or a travel trip, personal travel, there are several other professionals, CPA, other senior tax accountants who can take those calls. And for example, we talk about the clients in our meeting. So everybody is up on what's going on with the clients, right?
Mhm.
Because we have a low volume, a very high touch type of firm. Even if something, God forbid, happens to me or I'm happen to be on a vacation, there are people who can give you service. So try to find somebody like that And also, not everybody can help you at a certain point. Maybe you outgrew your tax accountant. They were able to help you great until now, but you actually have to step up now. So just don't stay with the status quo. Look for somebody better.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Fantastic. So this wraps up my conversation with Borbala Banto, founder and CEO of Concierge CPAs, and Action. Borbala Banto's approach to finance and tax strategy is refreshingly human, focused on clarity, control, and building businesses that truly support the lives of their business owners. If you're ready to take control of your numbers and keep more of what you earn, again, visit conciergecpas.com to learn more. We'll include all the links in the show notes below. And if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe to Jet Setting Wealth Advisory. Leave us a review. It helps us bring more conversations like this to leaders, entrepreneurs, and wealth builders everywhere. Thanks again for tuning in with us. Until next time, keep jetting forward, smart strategy, and lasting success.
Thank you for flying with us on today's episode of Jet Setting Wealth Advisory. If you enjoyed your journey through the fiscal skies with David T.U., don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and keep your financial knowledge soaring. For more insights and personalized advice, visit us at www.dtywealthplanningsolutions.com and connect with David directly